Friends, listen, we gotta talk. If you follow me on TikTok, you already kind of know what we're talking about. Also, obviously in the title, but I want to talk about why the Call Her Daddy podcast with Hailey Bieber firstly should have never happened, but secondly, why it's having the ripple effect that it's having, and also talk about maybe some PR moves she can do to kind of like fix this whole situation, because I really don't know. I feel like the narrative has, been taken on its own turn. So I want to talk about that. I also want to say I got PR. I got makeup PR. My little Jordan is screaming because I'm like, what the heck? And it's this. We'll talk about it in a little bit. It's on my eyelids right now, but let's get into this video because wow, just wow. The first thing I really want to impress is that no one is the bad guy and no one is the good guy in the situation, which is one of the things that isn't seen as a neutral point. We always look for a victim, we always look for a villain, and there's just not one in the situation, if you ask me. Especially with doing like the research, and I believe her name is Iconic Thought. I'm gonna leave it linked below, like the whole timeline of the Jelena, and it's very specifically Jelena, but the entire timeline of the Justin and Selena dating, whole situationships going on. And the one thing that has proven to me more than anything is Sophia Richie, if anyone, she is the victor in all this, okay? She saw it for what it was and said, I'm not gonna deal with that. And you know what she did? She went out, lived her best life, got engaged to what presumably is the love of her life, and is living an amazing life. Girl's having fun, okay? Happy for her. But leaning back to this, I just really feel like if you are a fan of Justin Bieber or Selena Gomez and you're like, they should have ended up together, they were so in love. It is one thing to see them on the red carpet and to see the cute paparazzi photos. It's another thing to read in between the lines of the interviews and hear what they're actually saying. It is not going to behoove you. It is not going to make Selena Gomez love you more because you're sending hate to Hailey Bieber. It's not going to make Justin like you and want to retweet you because you're hating on Hailey Bieber or Selena Gomez. It's not going to bring down, as Hailey said, her day because you hate her. As a person who has a small following on TikTok, the amount of hate comments they get, I delete them half the time. If they're interesting, I'll think about it for maybe 5 minutes. And if it really hurts, maybe you got to me for a day. But that's if I'm having a really bad day and a really bad week and Mercury is in retrograde, which it is in retrograde right now, so pray for me. All that being said is like, this is not a place to spread more hate, and hate's not going to be widely accepted, and I just want to get that out of the way. Like, the disclaimer is there's no victims, there's no villains, there's just people. Let's talk about the rest of it now. Or the initial problem, the interview was happening with Alex Cooper. So I found out actually when Hailey and Justin got married, Alex Cooper was saying disparaging remarks about their marriage. Now, I don't know about you, but like hell, I'm about to show up on a show where this woman had the nerve or the gall or audacity, whatever you want to say that me and my husband were not going to work out. It's me and my dog editing. I just want to say that this podcast makes even less sense knowing that Alex Cooper and Hailey sat down for Who's in My Bathroom back in 2021. I am even more confused as to why it felt so awkward, which only leads me to believe that they did this to get in front of whatever shitstorm is going to be the PR nightmare for Hailey's team. I think it's really embarrassing for Hailey now, and I think it's gonna be even more embarrassing when everything comes out, especially since, again, the Iconic Thought has that doc basically chronologically showing their time frame, and I think it's gonna show her probably in a bad light, but I don't know. I'm gonna watch the documentary now, and that's exactly a Barbra Streisand effect. But I'm gonna stand by what I said with the whole like, let's not spread hate. I'm not one of those girls who's like a girl's girl, like, you do something stupid, I'll call you out on it. But I do want to give her the benefit of the doubt that she's like 24 trying to figure out how to navigate her very public relationship, whether she wants it to be or not, which it seems like she wants it to be, but her relationship, her business, and just growing as a person. And as Selena already said, like, she wants to put kindness into the world, so like respect her wishes. And like, honestly, I don't really care for Justin. I don't even care to say something negative about him. That's how much I don't care for him. But that's my thoughts from editing Jordan. I'm about to go to bed. Bye. Oh, don't forget to like this. Thank you, babes. Now we're up here kikiing. I understand that Hollywood, LA is a little bit of a different lifestyle, but for her to say what she said, I think that at bare minimum, it should have been something they addressed in the podcast. Like, You know, I said this before I met you guys. I totally understand it was like out of pocket to say that. And I was younger and I've grown, which I feel like would have been a fair statement to say because Alex is about the same age as Hailey, if I remember correctly. So that would have been fair to say, fair to poke fun at, fair to move forward on. But the big problem that I have with Alex doing this is that I don't think Alex is good at doing interviews and facilitating conversation. Those two things together. I think Alex is great at creating a safe space. I think she's really great at being funny. She carries a conversation really well. And I think when she does do some interviews, she can be really good. But it's the facilitating conversation is the difficult part that I'm kind of seeing. I think her storytelling, again, captivating, really fun, but especially with someone like Hailey, who Hailey said she doesn't do interviews very often, it really feels flat.
I am just driving it home again. I do not understand for the life of me why it feels so flat between them, again, with the rapport that they're supposed to have. I really wanted to stress that.
Like, if you told me that this was someone who watched a Jimmy Fallon interview where he was being debriefed on who Charli D'Amelio was after he's having a come down of being high, and that's where she took her inspiration from, that would have made more sense. This didn't feel like banter amongst friends. This didn't really feel like, an opportunity to get to know Hailey. Because again, Hailey does seem rather reserved. I didn't say conservative because I know that means different things nowadays. She seems rather reserved in how she wants to talk about things, the pace of which she talks about things. She seems very mindful, which I can't blame her for. And it just seems like if you had someone who was maybe a little bit better at facilitating these types of conversations and interviewing different people, it would have been different. But it just wasn't. And I feel like that's largely where so much of this fell flat. So that's my issue with Alex doing it, because I feel like, unfortunately, if it was, for me, someone like Oprah, like that would have made more sense. But at the same time, Oprah doesn't have the same audience demographic or reach in the places that it would be considered important for someone like Hailey Bieber. So I understand, but I feel like there would have been a better place to platform this conversation. And with that, I feel like we can now bridge into the issues that I had with Hailey Bieber's responses and just like that whole standpoint. So I think initially everyone was taking we weren't in a relationship at the same time, or like I was not in a relationship with him when he was in a relationship with anybody else. We took that soundbite and ran with it. And honestly, she should have thought twice about saying that, because it's not like we don't all have the internet, and some people have dissertations that I sat through. I signed up for the 101 class of Jelena, and you know what? I got an A in that class. So there that is. She should have said, it was messy. I was 18 when he and I romantically got together. I was 16 when we became friends. Heck, I met him just as a fan at 12. Of course, as I'm growing up, there's going to be a very tumultuous time, and there's going to be a lot of figuring out who I am as a person, who he's figuring out as a person, and growing from there. I was dating Shawn Mendes. I was trying to figure out what I myself wanted. It's just that we saw that we kept pulling apart and coming back together again, and it wasn't really fair to anybody involved in all of that to keep having this drama going on. I understand where some people feel like they have a sense of entitlement or they deserve to know the exact timeline, and she could probably say this and it'd be a little white lie. She could say, that happened years ago and we've grown so much from it. I don't remember all of the details that I wish I could give you, but I can tell you right now that when we were engaged and when we got married, we closed off all of the doors. He had the things that he needed to handle privately. I had my needs that I needed to handle privately. And we did that. And then we came together and we started dating again. We realized, okay, we could either do this thing where we keep dating and dating and dating, and maybe we break up, maybe we play around, maybe we do this, or we could just get married because we feel like it's what we're called to do and what's right for us. And we could do that. So the option of like, listen to everybody else tell us that we're too young, even though we've been living these very drastic lives at very early ages, or we could listen to what everybody else in society is saying, like, oh, you're too young, or you're too this, or you're too that, or listen to people who literally just don't want to see us together. And then we couldn't have. And then what would we do? We would mess around and break a few hearts and maybe not be in the place we needed to be married. I think that would have been fair. I think that would have been fair. I think she would have done a really good job expressing to people how she feels and how their relationship came together. I think it would have given her the opportunity to take some type of responsibility instead of looking like a victim. Like, what do you want me to do? Not marry the love of my life? because he had a girlfriend before. Like, that just seems very insensitive and insincere, and you kind of seem like a jerk right now. You know, talking about how she grew as a person, reflecting on her past relationships as well too. That shows that she wasn't just chasing Justin, which a lot of people have brought receipts to show like she was chasing Justin. I think it could have really helped her control part of her narrative, because then it could be like, it's misogyny because you're only looking at his relationships and thinking that I'm the bad guy. But I think that originally one of the issues that I had was that so much of this interview was about Justin Bieber or being Justin Bieber's wife. I felt like so many other people who have been in contact with Justin Bieber could have easily given that same interview of like, this is what it's like being married to Justin. Hailey Bieber is here to talk about Hailey Bieber, right? Like, she has Wardrobe Inc. that she's doing a collab with. She has Vogue Eyewear that she did a collab with. She has her YouTube show, Who's in My Bathroom. And then she's a YSL girl. And then she has Rhode. Oh my God. I was like, why am I not thinking of that name? Then she has Rhode Skincare and Beauty. All of those things are going on, and you think the most interesting thing right now, like the thing that you want to spend time asking questions about, is what's her favorite position? Again, not even her. What's her and Justin's? Everything is about Justin, but everything is so focused on them as a couple, them together, her being his wife, the relationships he's had in the past. This doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not a great look because it makes it seem like she is there to be his wife, and there's nothing wrong with being a wife and wanting to be a wife. Like, there's nothing. I'm a wife. So there's nothing wrong with it, but I do think that reducing her to her role as his wife is the issue a lot of people are taking, especially since Hailey for the last 6 months to 9 months has really done a very good job of separating herself from him, not in the sense of like they're growing distant, but she's growing her own career. And I feel like this has now taken a step back in that context. And if you follow me on TikTok, I did a live and like my mutual Megan popped in. Here she is right here. She's great. She talks about like trends and whatnot. It's great. But we saw it from a perspective of, you know, being of Christian faith, whether practicing or adjacent to it. There's this way in the Christian church where it's like you're preached that being a wife is like one of the most important roles that you can be, which it can be, but it's not your entire role. But it does feel like in the church sometimes it's all encompassing. And then given Justin's relationship to the church, particularly like Hillsong and everything, so like it feels like sometimes a media machine of sorts. I do understand why maybe Hailey felt the way she felt. I do understand why she maybe really takes this role as seriously as she does, which like kudos to her for it. But I feel like at times it can be limiting, and I think it takes a certain level of maturity to realize that I don't think Hailey has yet, because she's about to turn 25, I believe, and she still has so much more to do and to grow and to learn about. And I feel like as she builds what I think, and I've said it before, I think she can be a style icon. As she grows into her place in the world and in herself, and then continues to grow her empire, she'll be able to look back and see that. She'll be able to see like, oh, there's still so much I had to do, even at that time, and I was just getting started. And I do feel like she is just getting started. I don't think this is the worst interview she's ever going to give, and this is destroying her career. I don't think that, but I do think it's quite a setback. So I wish that so much time wasn't talked about Justin and her being a wife, and that seemingly is it. Because obviously that's not just it. You know what I mean? It was just very lackluster and very not great. Like, again, I just don't feel like there was a lot of heart and feeling in the interview. And also, if you watch the visual, you would see that Hailey looks very clearly uncomfortable at certain points. And so it's like, I think taking a moment to kind of talk about herself, which I think would be more comfortable for her, because she wouldn't have to be as worried about the way it's going to be perceived. Like, it's about her. She can control her own narrative, but it's hard to kind of speak for other people. And she even talked about, she's like, I'm not trying to speak for other people, but people will kind of interpret that when you're constantly talking about two other people who aren't in the room, and one of the people you don't even address. Like, it was so annoying that they did not address Selena by her like name. I think maybe once they addressed her, and every other time I was like, is she Voldemort? Does she have that much power? But anyways, she could do a lot right now to rehab the situation. I would probably focus on hope in the future And I think that I would give one more review, like essentially called the final review, maybe right before the holidays. Actually, no, maybe in betwixt Christmas and New Year's, where everyone's just kind of like that weird space of the time of the year. But drop one more interview. This would be an interview on her terms, and basically just her saying like, I get it, I'm gonna address it, this is my one and final time. We've all agreed since that interview, we're not gonna keep dredging this up because it hurts all of us. Here are your questions, and then just answer some questions she potentially sees floating around online, or maybe even have it where she can tweet out that she's going to do this final interview in this context of talking about the Jelena situation. And then after that, she can always refer back to that if you have questions, if you need to know. Just she can type the final review. Not only will that bring a lot more attention to her YouTube channel, where she also talks about road and other things on, you know, her Words and Who's in My Bathroom series, but I think this would do a really good job to also create additional revenue for her. You know, it's her YouTube channel. It's monetized. She getting paid, baby. So I think that would also be really great for her. And then in the meantime for that, I would have her start doing a few more things separate from Justin. Not separate in the context like people are going to be wondering where he is, but have her go out to a couple more shows. Have her go hang out with some of her friends. I would say break up more stuff on red carpets and then have it mainly focused on her. Have Justin and Hailey going to more everyday life things, or if they are going to get a paparazzi shot in LA, have them go out specifically like grabbing smoothies or something where they look happy and chipper. So it's not like, are they getting divorced? It's just, we're only seeing them in this context right now. And then, yeah, drop the interview. And then in 2023, don't fuck with these questions. Now, I know the Selena Gomez documentary is going to come out, so I don't know what's going to be on that, but leave it alone. Keep moving about your life. If someone has something negative to say, try not to address it. Try not to make another accidental viral sound about leave me alone. Just see it and move past it to the best of your ability. That's what my suggestion would be from here throughout, in a very like quick roundabout way. But I think that, again, this is just a really, I was gonna say hiccup, it feels more like getting gut punched and throwing up, but it's not over. So, you know, yeah. Anyways, I got this from PR, and I'm so excited. Hello, there you are, Inception. But this is really cool. I'm just really excited I got this. I just wanted to show you this. Okay, so next video coming up later this week is about Shia LaBeouf and all of that nonsense. So I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed it.